Yeah, here we are. It's Friday again. The fan finally quit on that thing. And Friday afternoon, about time for a beer. Quite a bit of action this week. I got this stuff all done in there, and I've got that stuff all done in there. So I'm working on the passenger side of the car, and I did a bunch of banging and pounding to get these. The inner fender had some dents in it, and I inadvertently cut a line in there. There was a hole in there that I fixed. And I fixed a hole in there. But this inner fender is good now, so next week I'll be working on this stuff here. But for this week, a little bit of welding up on this area here, cutting and welding, getting some of the bigger bangs out of it. I was able to reach in underneath that and sort of pull all the dents back out of it, which is a bargain. Then this is cut out, ready to put a new piece in there, and so on and so on. So it's coming along, the little car. No changes on this side of it this week. So I hope you're enjoying it, and then maybe we'll see you next week. I'm getting close to being able to work on the floorboards, but I'm waiting for parts to come along because I don't want to get into the floorboards until such time as I've got the brakes and everything fixed on the dashboard, because it's a lot easier to reach the dashboard when you can poke your whole head through the floor. Anyway, that's it for this week. See you next week. Enjoy it, and we'll see you then. Bye. Yeah, so I took a piece of, I guess it's 3/4 stock. It was an old axle. Then I cleaned it off, made it nice and smooth. Now I'm going to make myself a dolly, a flat dolly. Like I've got these curved dollies up here. So I'll just make a flat dolly like one of those. I'll take a little piece of steel. I think I got some 1/4 inch steel right there. I'll cut it off and see what I come up with. Anyway, that'll be a handy thing for making that crease in the fender. Yeah, there we go. There's one made professionally somewhere, and there's one made by me right here. So the stock is just the same length, and then that's all nicely cleaned off. I could go, a little bit late now, but I could have rounded out those corners a bit more. Maybe I'll do that on the grinder. Anyway, there we go. Looks pretty good. There, I'm all set to cut and butt now. I trimmed this off a bit. Trimmed it off too much there, so I'll fill that in. But anyhow, here you are. I've got a weld there, a weld there, and a weld there. And then I'll just cut along that line and push this piece of steel in, and then butt it up to that thing and weld it on there as I go. And it all comes together right, I hope. Yeah, there now I've cut and pushed it back in and made that weld along there. This thing here I have to just sort of put a bit of metal in there and fill it. Then along here I put a few more welds, and that's the weld that I've last cut right there. So I'll go along and I'll cut along here until I get to about here somewhere, and then I'll push it in and make it all fit. Now sometimes I use these things here, if I can get them in there to make it fit a bit better. Like right here I can get it in there, but there's a bit of body work behind here that I can't get in behind there now. So I'll have to figure out a different way. I might have to use a bit of a nudge with a hammer or something like that, or just push it in with a hammer, put some pressure on it. Yeah, so there now. Sometimes you get all this close-up stuff and you don't know where the hell it is on the car, right? So here it is here. Now this part here, I've got it welded, spot welded there and there, or tack welded, I guess is the right word. Here and here and here, along that portion there. Now I'll push it in there and make it tight to the top, and then I'll weld that back on, and then everything else will come together nicely. We'll just see how it works. Yeah, I forgot to mention now, as I went along, I pulled out the piece of, this is the piece of metal that was behind there that got cut off, just hanging. The only place it was difficult, there's a cross member right around here somewhere. Right, where is it? Right about here, there's a cross member, so I had to kind of finagle it in there. So I didn't cut the cross member, but I was able to get the piece of metal out of there. Yeah, there you go, it's welded in there now, and it's not that pretty a weld, but I'll take the grinder along there and clean it up a bit. It's inside and nobody will ever see it again, so it's not that critical to make it really pretty, but I'd like to clean them up a little bit in case there's some holes that I missed. So there you go. Yeah, now so this bit here, like from here to here, where was it? Yeah, from here to here, has to be filled in before I put the outside shell on this stuff here. So because it's got to be spot welded onto this bit here from the bottom. So I made a piece. Here it is here. It's got that little bit of a curve in there the way the floorboard goes. Now I'll just stick it up into place and sort of, then I'll clamp it on in the right spot here. Whoops, where am I? I'll clamp it on here, right, weld this up, and then I'll cut and butt this thing afterwards. See how that works out. See what happens. There we go, that piece is welded in. I'll just clean up those welds. So now, this part here, which is I'll call it the sill for a better word, and that seam there. And then I have to fill in this bit right here before I can close that side off. So tomorrow I'll have to, it's the end of the day today, so tomorrow I'll put a piece in here that goes down here and across that thing there and makes this little hoopy curve here. That's kind of a complex curve every which way, but you can imagine. But I'll be able to get that hooked together and then that'll be that part of the floor done. Then I'll worry about this part of the floor later. Because all the way along here, underneath here, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can see that. All the way along here, it's good. There's nothing wrong with that floor there. There's some punky stuff here. And right there's a hole in it. And there's some punky stuff back here, but I think most of the floor is pretty good shape. I'll whack at it with a hammer a bunch and check it out. Now, where am I? Here I am. Yeah, so I got this tail piece on. And this piece here on, and now I got next is that little bit underneath there that I talked about, and then this strength piece here that goes down the middle to hold it all together. That keeps the car from cracking in two when you're driving along the road. Anyway, there you go, that's all for today. Time for a beer. Yeah, so there you go, I've got it on some good authority from England that this is called a dolly. That's called a hammer, so you whack the hammer against the dolly to make things get flattened again. But these things here, like that thing there, that one and that one and that one, they're also called dollies. So it's anything, I guess a dolly would be anything you whack a hammer against. That's your English wheel, and that's like a bead maker or a, well, I call it whoopee things, but make a crease in the or I call it hoopy things, eh? I make a crease in a piece of metal with that. So there you go, that's all the tools. Now you have to go and look at Barry's site. I think there's a link to it somewhere here. And he's got a really nice Triumph with a V8 motor in it that he sort of looks around there. Anyway, there you go. I think I was talking to nothing. Here I am, I'm back again. And I'm gonna continue on underneath here. There's a part underneath here I have to build right down there. So I'll build that piece and then I'll carry on with building this stuff out. See how that goes. Yeah, so here now I gotta make this piece that goes in, cover in here, and then over to here. So it's gotta be fairly complex, but what I'll do is I'll make this little piece here first, and that piece there, I'll figure out how to do that, because that's about 18 curves in there you got to put into it. Anyhow, but that's all right. And here's something I did yesterday. I also So I've got my mini lathe here covered up to keep the dust off it, but then I figured I better just bring over my drill press and put it in here too, make it handier to use. Yeah, so there I used my new dolly for making that little bit of a curve there. You just put it on the direction you want it and give it a pound with the hammer, and it makes a nice little curve and things the way you want them. Cool. Whoops, there we go. There it is. It's all in there now. That curvy thing, and not the prettiest welding in the world, but it certainly will do. And I'm going to get it covered over with that undercoating compound, so that'll be okay. And I don't want to grind it down too far and take all the strength out of it anyhow. So there you go. That part's done. Now it's up to that part up here. I'm going to fix that thing there. Yeah, so there now I've got a new piece of metal here, and I've got little pictures on there where it's got to be. So this has got to be a bead coming out this way. And these things here are these hoopy things that come out around like that and around like that. And I've already cut the little holes out the way they're supposed to be. And then this thing goes, I got to cut that a little bit more here. And then this end is cut down like that, the way it's supposed to be. And then I put a little bend at the bottom of it there to make it so it'll fit on that angle. Next, so how I got those hoopy things was, I just, this is what I took out of the car here, eh? So I just put this onto the piece of metal and then trace the template out, sort of thing. Now, I've got that welded in spot. Where am I over here? Here I am. You keep looking at the floor, right? I've got this spot welded on these spots here. And I'm just going to take a grinder and cut that all the way along there. And that'll be where it's supposed to fit later. Now sometimes it doesn't work perfectly, but mostly it works not too badly. So I'll see if I can get it right. I gave myself an extra, like I let it hang over an extra 1/8 of an inch underneath here, just so I have enough room to make sure it works out. Yeah, there you go. That's all for today anyhow. I still have to recut this thing a bit and then get these hoopy things in place, but that's welded on there now. I can cut across here and then take it back and butt weld that on later after I get the hoopy things made. Anyhow, all for today. I'll see you again perhaps tomorrow. Yeah, so here I'm going to make these hoops in it. Make them look something like that. And then this one here is just a bead. So first I'll do this side here. That's got to come out. Then I have to do this side here to here, and then I'll turn it this on the top and the other one on the bottom and make it so that I can do this side here, like otherwise I have to come in backwards. But either way it seems to work, so I'll show you when I get done. What you do is you just hold it the line you want to go on and turn it with this wheel here, and it'll come and make it. See what happens. So there's one half of it made. Now I have to invert these wheels, so this one will go on the bottom and this one will go on the top, and then that'll make it so I can make this other side that way. Yeah, there it is. I've got this made now. All the bends in there. Now I just have to make this. This is just a bead, and I've changed this end here, this thing here, to a bead maker now. It's got just that. It's called a 1/2 inch bead, but I guess it's a 1/2 inch wide bead. Anyway, I'll run that bead through and then that'll be that. Yeah, there we go. It's all done on that side now. So the bead, the hoopy things are in there, and I'll make them fit to the car as I put them on. And that bead's even going in the right direction. I think on the other side I did it backwards, and then I had to straighten it out and do it again. So there's a small bend at the bottom here, and then a small bend over here, so it'll fit on those flanges. And then I'll go and drill some holes in here so that it'll make it so spot welds. Then I'll paint the back of it and put it on, and then I'll carry on from there. Yeah, there it is. That's all in there now. Pretty ugly welding. But now when that hole there, there's nothing behind that hole there, but later there will be. Now, when these spot welds here, when I put them on, I clamp them with this thing here, so I clamp right next to them, like that, and that holds that tight against the metal behind so that I get a good weld. And then I was able to just sort of run a bead along that seam up here, which is pretty good. As it turned out, I had that that bead backwards, but I repaired it up there anyhow. It'll be okay. And then that thing there is damn hot and strong. So now I'll grind it, and then I'll paint it up, and then work on this bit back here. This thing's got to come down. Oops, where am I pointing? It's got to come down here somewhere and finish up that little bit there. See what happens. Yeah, there it is. Very black, but it looks like looks the same as the other side, pretty close. The other side, I made these windows a little bit bigger on this side. But yeah, all seems to be okay now, and it's plenty solid. It looked like that wasn't holding anything before, but now it's very, very solid. So now the next thing is this bit in here, and that bit right there. We'll see. Yeah, so here we are. There's another piece. This piece here is new, around there, and welded in and all set to go. So all this stuff here is new now, and next step is to put the skin on here, but I won't do that until I get the skin on this part here, because you got to weld it from below to get that up there. Anyhow, so next step is going to the front of the car and start working on there. That should be this stuff right here. I got to make a piece that looks like that to go in here. Anyhow, I'll start cleaning that up and just see what I have to do. Yeah, there now. I'm up in the, where am I? Up towards the front of the car now, right in that area there. So now I put a piece, I cut this back out and put a new piece in here. And then now next is, I can't get the camera on that. There you are. Can you see that? Yeah, there it is. See this thing with all the hoopy things in it here. So I went and I made myself a hoopy piece right on here, using the bead roller. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 hoops going one way and 1 hoop going the other way, and it seems to. Here's my model. Seems to match up pretty good. So now I can weld that on and see how things turn out. Yeah, there's that strength piece welded in there. I got to do a bunch of grinding on that to make it look pretty again, but we'll get there. So now that piece is in, I'll clean that up tomorrow. It's the end of the day today, and then I'll build this piece here to go in here. First this piece here, and then I'll build up this stuff here. And then that'll be all the strength put back into it, so it shouldn't split down the middle, maybe. Yeah, so here I am back at it, and had to run some errands today, so I'm a little bit late starting. We'll see how things go. I'll carry on working up in the front here. That thing right there, I got to do some grinding on that piece that I put in there, and then I'll build that next piece out. And that'll be all the structure done. The floorboards I'll leave for a while. I'll do, I wonder what I'll do. Yeah, I'll leave the floorboards for a while because I'm waiting for some parts to come for the brakes and the clutch. And once those parts are there, it's a lot easier to replace them if you can, stick your head up through the floor instead of trying to lying your back. I can stick my head right up through the floor there to get to that stuff and fix them up, do all the repairs I want to do in there before I close it in. And then, so what I'll do, I've got some repair to do on here, down here, and a little bit of repair to do, like there's a little bit of light showing through right in here. You can see, well, down there you see that light down there, that's by the fender, but right down in here, oops, what's in the way of that thing? Right down in here, that's in the trunk. But that's not too tough to fix that, and I think the other side is okay. Well, look at the same thing on the other side, so there's a couple of holes there to fix up. I'll get them looked after. And then down here, this needs to be fixed. There's a hole right there that needs to be fixed. And then I've got to fix this thing here, and then the front fender. So there's lots to do waiting for parts. I don't have to get anxious about the parts yet, but so one of these days I'll get anxious about them. Yeah, so last night when I was just finishing up, I noticed that the welder seems to be making, there's a fan that intake is here and the outlet is up front here and it cools it off inside, but I bet you it's just full of dirt in there. So what I'll do is I'll take this side off with the thing unplugged and see if I can just blow it out with air. Yeah, there's what it looks like on the inside. So it seems that most of the dust is down in here where the fan goes through. So I'll blow that out if I can. And that'll maybe make it run a bit cooler sometimes. Yeah, there lots of dust came out of there. So that should help things out a little bit. Maybe. But can't hurt. Yeah, so here I am. What's going on? Assistant can't start when another app is using the microphone. Well, sure. That's fine by me. Anyway, this piece, I cut it out. All that maybe you've noticed. I made this piece here to go in right here, the way it's supposed to be. Now I need to get a piece to fill in from here to here. Whoops, there to there. So I'll make a piece just big enough to fill in to here. Oh, where am I pointing to? Right here. And then I'll carry on with the rest of this assembly down afterwards. But first I got to sort of bend this so it's the right way and make it all right. Yeah, there now I've put that piece in here. And then the part that goes on across the top, I welded that in before I put that piece in so it'll be solid in there. So that thing's major solid now. Now I have to build this piece that comes down along here. So it comes from right here and then underneath this thing here down to here. So it comes in about an inch of a flange. Maybe I should just build a little tiny piece of it right in there first and then carry on afterwards. Yeah, there now I've made this piece here to go in, and then I just have to grind off that welding that I did to make it look good. And then this piece here slides over it, so I have to make a piece that goes in here. So perhaps I'll just make this little piece first down to here and get it to slide over that to here, and then I'll make the rest of it down below. That would be likely the easiest way to do it. Yeah, back at the hoopy thing maker here. So I've got that kind of lined up and started there, so you just turn the wheel. Whoops. Now, gotta keep, it's a kind of a two-handed operation. I think I've been through this before. Turn the wheel and keep it going straight along that line that I drew in by hand. coming off the straight a little bit there. So I'll have to just put the camera down and finish this off, and I'll show you when I'm done. Yeah, there now I've got the piece made. Looks like that. That's that side of it. Then it just goes right up in. Whoops, where was I pointing? Anyhow, it just goes right up in about here. Then I'll just cut and butt it across the top there, and that'll fit right, and then that'll make it strong in there. Then I'll figure out how to do that end piece there after. Whoops, that end piece over there after. I keep pointing with the phone, but don't get it right anyhow. So anyhow, we'll carry on, and I'll get that piece put in there. Yeah, there we are. That's in there now. Pretty, not bad welding actually. So I'll grind them off and make them look a bit better. I don't take them right down in this stuff because it's underneath and I just want to leave the strength in it, but I have to take this down pretty flat because it's got another piece, the fender. This skin comes down and hooks on there later. Anyhow, I guess it's grinding time again. Yeah, there we are. That looks not too bad for a man if you're passing by on horseback. Now I guess I got it, like this piece here has to come down here to about there, and the lip goes in. But I think I'll bring it down. I think I'll take off, whoops, where am I pointing? I think I'll take off some of this stuff here and see if I can ascertain what's happening underneath there. Yeah, there we are. So I went and I cut around here so I could get rid of this outer fender here. Now I go along and I drill out every one of these all the way along. There's spot welds, so you just drill out the spot welds. Then after the spot welds are drilled out, there's a whammo there. Anyhow, but after you get the spot welds drilled out, then you go ahead and just wiggle this a bit and it comes off. So I'll get that off, then I'll straighten out this inner fender here, which is a doable thing. Then I think I'll fix this down to here and make it so that I can put a new skin around there. Because I guess I could go ahead and put the new skin back to here right away. What do you know? Anyway, and the spot welds, they aren't too tough to find because there's one right here, there's one right about here, one right about there. So I'll cut that one out and then I'll pull it down and be able to tell exactly where the next one is. And then I pull that one down and blah, 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 all the way down. Anyway, it'll be done. Yeah, there now I cut out this piece here and took that off. And then I straightened out the bodywork here. This was a big whammo in here that I fixed up. I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm going to do about this yet. I'm not going to cut it out of there yet. Up here, bodywork's nice and smooth. There's a dent right here. That was pretty big before, but I've been able to get in there behind with a pry bar and push it all out. Now, there's still a few low spots, like these things here are low spots in it. And then there's a crack in the metal right up through here, and another crack right up through there where it was hit before. So perhaps I'm just going to cut a line through here and cut a line through there and then weld it back together and just see what happens with it. See how it does. If it has to, like if I blow through, I'll just go ahead and whatever you call that, put a new piece of metal in. But if I don't have to, then I don't have to worry so much about shrinking. Yeah, there you go. That was a bit of a failure. Now, I didn't think it would really work because the metal was really, really thin here, and it just, as soon as I put a little bit of electricity to it, it just blew it away. But that line up there, I put a line right here too, and that one seemed to work okay, so we're all right with that. So I'll just cut out a little piece here and put a new piece in, cut out a little piece here and put a new piece in, see if I can make it better. Maybe I'll just cut it out so that it comes down here, and that'll get rid of some of those bends, but there's going to be some warpage in there. Blah, blah, blah. Oh well, what the hell. Yeah, so now I'm going to do this old cut and butt thing. So you got a weld right there, or tack weld there, tack weld there, tack weld there. I'll just cut along the edges of this thing. Try to cut it in at like a 45-degree angle. That way it'll fit better in the long, well, maybe, who knows. We'll see what happens. But then I'll put it in there and cut it and weld it in. So there now, for a part of the car that was just full of dents before, it's coming along all right. These little tiny things, I'll put a bit of body filler on them. I'm not going to cut them out. And it seems that all the body lines are right. A little bit of body filler right there. And this stuff here is strong now. Might have to put a bit more weld right there in the pinhole. But for the most part, we're all right. So tomorrow I'll tackle this bit here and see what I can come up with. Don't know yet. We'll see. Yeah, there now. I did a little bit more cutting. I cut this back a little bit farther, just so I get access to this mostly. This is the inner fender, and it was flattened down here, so I've pounded it back out with a ball peen hammer. It looks like it was flattened there a bit too, so I'll give it a bit more pounding here. And this was dented in, so I pounded that back out. I'll clean that up. And then down here it was all flattened in, pushed in pretty good, so now I've made it back to the original kind of a shape there. There you go, sneezing break. Now I'll cut it out here. I'll make a line on it maybe and just cut it right up here and across here. And I'll put a new piece in there. So I'll make a line and I'll show you where the line is. That'll give me a good idea where this crease starts, and then I'll be able to fit that piece in, put the crease in it, and I'll put the crease in, put the piece in, see what happens. Yeah, so there's kind of the line. I'll go up here, across maybe to here. And then I have to, the new piece, I'll get the crease in it that goes down here. Plus, first I'll get a crown in it and make it so I have to use English wheel there to get a crown on it. So it's got this crown. And then I'll only make it out to about here and join that, because there's a flange on it here that I can't, it's going to take another angle there to make that happen. Same as I did on the back and the other side. I'll make that. I'll put the outer piece on. Whoops. Outer piece on. Then I'll put the flange in between, and then I'll do a cut and button thing. Oh, that maybe work. See what happens. Yeah, so I was doing a bunch more checking up around here, and that's hot. Anyway, there was a piece in here that was crumpled and creased and had some, like, what do you call them, just weak lines in it. So I decided I'd cut it out and put this piece in. Like, that's where I put a piece in yesterday and another piece right here. So I figure, well, I might as well just get it all right, because it was weak in there. Every time I touched it, it seemed to bend the wrong way. So there. Then I've got this piece here cut out, and then I weld it up in there. So now I'll cut a piece out for this while that's cooling down, and see if I can get the crease mark to go across here in the right spot. I think it's supposed to go to right about there, but I can measure it up on the other side. I'll measure it down from here to the crease mark and see what it looks like. Yeah, there you go. So from here to here on the other side is 13 1/4, and it's the same on this side. And from here to here on the other side is 17 1/4. So that's where the crease has got to go, down like that. And it's kind of like, I'll draw it in by hand on my piece, but you see how it's not a straight line, but it's not really that much of a curve to it. I'll see if I can get that right. Yeah, so before I start making that piece in here, I should make this stuff around here, and I can do some more welding on that for a bit. Then with this thing here done around here, then I've got a chance of getting everything to come out straight and hard. So I'll make it about this big out here. I'll see how far that crease goes from here to here, and then I'll know how far to make it out here. Right? Right. Yeah, there we are. So it goes from here to here and fades out at 11 inches. So that's about right there. So if I make my wheel arch thing So I got to finish this down here, make my wheel arch thing across there, and then I can do the business. Oops, I wasn't even pointing that way. Then I can do the business up in there. Anyway, we'll see how that works out.